What I predicted months ago now appears to be coming true as the United States enters into a recession. Or has it? Because if you ask certain people right now, they're going to say absolutely not, as they appear to be trying to redefine precisely what a recession is. The problem with that is that is exactly why people do not trust politicians and why the political establishment is held in such contempt by so many people in the general public. I'm Stuart Hooper, a lecturer in political science and PhD researcher. Be sure to subscribe if you are new here to the channel for regular videos on current affairs just like this one, where I take a stance that thinks critically instead of ideologically. So this isn't a channel that's going to be rooting for the Republicans or the Democrats or the Labour Party or the Conservatives. This is a channel that thinks beyond those boundaries, which have actually helped to get us into some of the very big problems that we now find ourselves in. For my regular viewers, sorry for the delay in content. I have been in a bout with the world's most famous virus for about a week now, so that is what explains the delay. Mostly all better now, a little bit of a cough here and there, but otherwise back on track and we'll be putting out more videos. So this week, as we saw, the new economic data showed that GDP for the United States had contracted for the second straight quarter, which is the technical definition of a recession. However, Biden told reporters, that doesn't sound like a recession to me. And as we see here, Biden and top White House officials touted several positive facts about the US economy, including that employers are still hiring, unemployment is at a 50-year low, and manufacturers are still investing. Now, just to put it all out on the table here and try to be as transparent and honest as possible, which of course are values that we need more of in the media, I am not an economist. My speciality, as a lot of you know, is international politics, specifically foreign policy, war and peace, the military-industrial complex, security, everything in that realm. However, I do teach international political economy, which is basically international relations times 10. And the technical definition of a recession, which has been the technical definition of a recession for decades, is 2 straight quarters of negative GDP growth. So you are going backwards instead of forwards. Your economy is no longer growing by any measurable number. It's actually going backwards. And of course, there's a lot of partisan politics around this right now, as we see in this Fox News headline. NBC defends Biden's redefinition of recession, claims GOP pushing narrative of bad economy to hurt Democrats. And this NBC report, which they mentioned, said White House officials have been increasingly trying to combat the narrative that the United States is on the brink of a recession as they look to get out ahead of grim economic data expected Thursday. Well, here we sit on Friday, the day after Thursday, and that grim economic data did come out, did match our fears, which means this is no longer a narrative that the United States is on the brink of a recession. It is in a recession. But is this really a left or right problem? Is this a Biden problem, a Trump problem, a Democratic or Republican problem? Kind of, because they all collectively allow this system to exist. But this is above and beyond the political parties, which is why that's what I focus on here on this channel. Going beyond those surface level kind of really puppets on the stage to get to the true power structures, which here, of course, would be the transnational corporations and the Federal Reserve System. For the past now over 2 years since the pandemic began, and of course we could take this line of thought far further back than that, but let's just go there for now, the past 2.5 years. The Federal Reserve has not been trying to help the average man on the street. The Federal Reserve has instead been ballooning the money supply to such a degree that they have created unprecedented inflation, which has been great for transnational banks, transnational corporations, transnational elites, and it's been absolutely terrible for everybody else. And there is decent evidence to support this. Just look at what Walmart reported earlier this week. I believe this was on Monday. Walmart's stock fell more than 10% after the market closed, erasing about $35 billion of market capitalization in a clear indication that what's at stake is more than just a fallow year. Walmart has two issues, both bad for its profitability. The goods its customers no longer want and the goods they actually do. Its warehouses are piled high with merchandise that inflation-pinched shoppers no longer desire, notably clothing. And what they do want is food, which has an extremely low margin, unlike clothing and other consumer goods like that. So thanks to this inflationary environment that the Federal Reserve and the transnational corporations, transnational elites, other national banks around the world have created, the average man on the street can no longer afford to buy luxury goods and services and is instead only buying the bare essentials. This really is a recessionary environment. And there was a great little piece on Zero Hedge entitled "What Do Payrolls Tell Us About the Timing of the Next Recession?", which makes really two important points. A recession is declared retrospectively, so it's usually too late to wait for official confirmation, and by the time the negative prints arrive, it will be time to start forecasting the end of a recession. And two, history suggests little evidence of a decline in payrolls in the months leading up to a recession. In other words, just because employment is very high right now doesn't mean that it will be in a few months' time. It could take a dramatic drop. Therefore, no matter what numbers politicians try to pluck out of the air to try to build some alternative reality that the economy is currently just absolutely fantastic, people in their day-to-day lives currently cannot afford to fill up their gas tanks. They cannot afford their grocery bill. They're no longer going on trips. They're not buying the same goods and services that they used to. They're especially cutting back on luxury items. So there are real tangible changes in people's day-to-day lives, real negative economic impacts that they are seeing and feeling every single day. And then you have politicians on TV trying to convince them otherwise. This is why nobody likes Congress. This is why nobody likes the presidency. This is why nobody likes their member of parliament in the United Kingdom. Not only are these people straight up lying to our faces about a reality that is very clear to all of us, that the economy is in a really bad situation, but these people are entirely disconnected from that reality. When you look at the net worth of members of Congress or members of Parliament, these people are not even impacted by inflation by any meaningful standard. In fact, there was a British politician last week, I believe, Rishi Sunak, who's now trying to become the next Prime Minister, who was caught on video clearly unaware of how to even properly use a credit card. I mean, this is a guy that does absolutely nothing for himself. He's worth billions. Remember to subscribe if you are new here to the channel for regular videos just like this one, and I could carry on screaming and shouting about these people for a significant period of time if only I was physically capable of doing so. A few more cuts in this video than normal because I'm coughing in between cuts, but I appreciate the support, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. Really appreciate all of you sending me now well over 3,000 subscribers. That's just awesome to see. hopefully the channel can keep growing and we can keep pushing this non-ideological, non-partisan, critical perspective on politics. Because if we do allow these people to continue governing us, do you really think things are going to get any better? Because they're just not. Thanks again for watching, everyone. I'll be back with more real soon.